AI agents are everywhere right now. You've seen the flashy demos on YouTube and LinkedIn and probably even thought, this could change everything for my business. But before you spend tens of thousands of dollars building one, I need to warn you. Most AI agents are a complete waste of your time and money. And after building dozens of AI automation systems for real-world businesses, I know exactly what actually works and what just sounds cool on social media. And in this video, I'm going to show you why most AI agents fail, at least in the business use case, and what you should use instead, which is much cheaper, more reliable, and actually delivers results to real businesses. So first of all, what I want to do is just describe what an AI agent is. And first of all, as you might know, I'm not even going to explain it much, but usually if you have an LLM setting, which is something like this, right? You have some sort of an input, which is, either a question from you or like some sort of a request. You feed it into an LLM such as ChatGPT, Claude, like Gemini from Google or something else, and you get an answer. You get some sort of an output, right? The LLM itself does not have knowledge or does not have access to any external tools, doesn't have any access to, external knowledge, external world. It only kind of works internally. What these AI agents allow you to do is essentially give your LLM more power. That's kind of how I can describe it the best. You essentially create tools or you integrate existing tools with the LLM, such as sending an email, maybe reading your calendar, maybe reading your CRM. And now what this LLM can do is essentially, with a good prompt, it will figure out what tool it needs to use based on the user input. It might use one tool, it might use another tool, it might use one tool in order to use another tool. So essentially, an AI agent is an LLM with access to other tools, which allows it to automate things, provide better outputs, or to be a more powerful tool in itself that can do more things rather than just one, AI model. And the first problem with an LLM is, like, in theory, it sounds great, right? You give some tools, you can add multiple tools, you can add as many tools as possible, and you just prompt the LLM and it figures out what to do on its own. In theory, it sounds awesome, right? Well, the first problem with an LLM is that LLMs are non-deterministic models. So what it means is essentially, for one input that you feed into an LLM, it will generate multiple outputs. So if you go to ChatGPT and ask, how's it going, it's gonna generate one output. But if you ask it the same question, it's gonna generate another output and then another output. Because by nature, how these LLMs work is they sample the first ever token, the first ever word at random based on some distribution that they kind of learned. I'm not going to go into the whole detail and theory behind LLMs, but this is kind of one of the reasons why. And you might already see the problem with these AI agents is that, like, since they're not deterministic, can you actually rely on them for different use cases? Like, for example, if you're a business owner and like you have an AI agent, or you want to build an AI agent that will process like documents or something, and it needs to process a document and maybe output it or send it to a client. What if this agent that you built works 9 out of 10 times? Like, in theory, it's like 90% great, right? 90% accurate. But what if this cost of an error of processing this document costs you $5,000? Do you actually want to rely on this AI agent to process the document correctly? Or would you like to have some sort of a system that will process the document 100% of the time? Maybe it's not as cool, it doesn't look as good, as an AI agent, but it works 100% of the time. I'm going to show you an example of how this AI agent could look. This is an AI agent built on N8N. There's some sort of an input, there's some sort of an output, there's this AI agent in itself, and as you see, there's like a bunch of like 1, 2, 3, 4 tools and like one chat model connected to it, which is like a brain to this AI agent. And as you see, it can create an event, it can get events, update events, create Zoom meetings, etc. This is just an example, not saying this example in itself is a bad agent, just an example of how it might look. And now we're going to move to something much more reliable, something that costs actually much less, and something you can scale much more easily. So these are just automated workflows. Maybe they're boring, but they actually work very, very well. And what an automated workflow essentially is, it's as you might think, it's just a workflow. It has an input the same way, it has an output the same way as an AI agent. But in the workflow itself, you have to define the decision logic in the AI in the workflow, right? So you don't let AI agent figure out what path to go to. Instead, you will define the path manually, right? So based on the input, it might go to the path number 1, it might go to path number 2. In the path number 1, it will use tool number 1, it will go to an LLM, maybe still need to, process some data. You still need to use some sort of AI module, AI node. Maybe like you want to generate something, and then based on this generation, you will check it with another decision logic node, and then based on that, you will route it to either path number 3 or path number 4. And then each path will have different tools that it will use, which are predefined manually when like your AI automation expert, like or you are building this this workflow. And then based on all of the tool spells, based on all of the logic, you're gonna have some sort of an output. And yeah, if you want to see like an example of an automated workflow, this is what it could look like. Essentially, you have a bunch of different tools. You have Google Drive tool, Gmail tool, Telegram tool, etc. And it might look even less reliable than an AI agent, because you might think, hey, I have so many different tools, how can they be so reliable? Well, in fact, when you have these little tools that you define beforehand, you can actually make sure that the output of each tool is going to be 100% accurate. Versus something like an AI agent, you can't really force a certain input or certain output with a given tool. And what I mean by that is essentially with a workflow here, you can define an input that will go into this tool, and now you know that this tool is going to generate a certain specific output, right? And with an AI agent, since AI agent does all of the work, it's gonna fill in this this tool with random data. So each time the input is going to be different, even if you have the same input at the beginning of the workflow, AI agent is going to process it on its own, it's going to randomize it, and it's going to provide a different input to the tool itself. So that's kind of the explanation. Hopefully it makes sense. And then just quickly, I want to go through this, that the workflows are deterministic most of the time, right? So if you have some sort of an input, you have the workflow, and you're going to have always going to have the same output. Yeah, you might have like different decision logic within the workflow, which will lead to different outputs. But if you provide the same input, it will always go to the same output because you define them beforehand. You know exactly what happens, and you can actually influence the way that the data is processed. And you might think of it as a function, and this a simple function of x, y, and z, and the function itself is x plus y plus z. So this is your automated workflow. If your input is 1, 2, and 3, the output is always going to be 6. Like, you cannot do anything to change it, right? The only thing that you can change is change the input itself. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to 6. And with an AI agent, maybe in this case, yeah, it's going to output the same output every single time because the use case is so simple. But when you actually build very complex systems, the AI agents might work like 8 times out of 10, or 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 6 times out of 10. And in that case, with the inputs that you have, you're going to have a different output every single time. And this is not something that you want. So now we're actually going to talk about why these automated workflows are better and why you should use them instead. So first of all, as you see, they're much more reliable. You do not have to worry about having unreliable outputs. You know that given one input, you're always going to have the same output. They're much cheaper to run because essentially AI agents use AI tokens. This is something that you pay for like ChatGPT API, Cloud API, etc. And since you have to process every single step, every single tool, every single decision point with an AI agent with these tokens, you're going to have to pay for them. And with an AI, with an automated workflow, like, you don't have to use any AI credits unless you use some sort of an LLM node. So like here I have this decision point. If URL exists, I go to this path. If it doesn't exist, I go to this path. I'm using $0 here. With an AI agent, if I had the same use case, it would use these AI tokens and I'd have to pay for them. And this just becomes like an extra cost that you have to account for every single time your agent runs. The next thing is that these automated workflows are much easier to debug and fix. And the reason why is that yeah, like they look bigger and they look like harder to implement. But actually, when you break it down, like everything has an input, has an output, and you can easily see where your AI or where your workflow went wrong. You can fix that one small issue, and then your workflow is ready to work again. With an AI agent, you have to fix the prompt. You have to make sure that the prompt actually works in other use cases. Sometimes it works this way, that you fix a prompt, it fixes the problem that you have, but now it creates a new problem, and now you have to solve for that problem, and then it becomes a never-ending loop of actually fixing this AI agent. And lastly is that these automated workflows are just much more scalable. Essentially, if you want to add more tools to it, you just do it here. You don't need to change the prompt. You don't need to make sure that it works at scale. It will just work, and it's much easier to scale. I'm not going to go into much depth here. It's more for the engineering side of things. Just much more reliable, and it's going to cost you less when you want to build this. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I saved you a few thousands of dollars on building these AI agents, and hopefully now you realize that automated workflows are superior most of the time. Sometimes, yeah, there's room for AI agents, but most of the time, like 90% of the time, you can use automated workflows, and they will work cheaper, better, and more reliable. And if you need help automating your business to save $30 to $100 a month, do book a call with me in the description down below, and I'm going to audit your business. I'm going to audit your processes, and just suggest things that you can implement in terms of AI, maybe even AI agents, automation, and how you can implement them to actually scale your business.